Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Burn Notice Season 6. Okay, I know it seems kind of random because I've never done a Burn Notice video before, but the truth of the matter is I watched the first 5 seasons with my brother especially, as well as my mom and dad, years ago, and for some reason I never really continued watching it, for my brother had moved a few states away. But it was one of his favorite shows of all time, so I thought I would give it another look at some point. And recently I did. I started watching season 6 again, and I just finished it last night. And I gotta say, I have the DVD copy right here. To start off. But I gotta say, Burn Notice has always been an enjoyable show for me. Some people would see it as like a crime, like a spy action procedural type thing. And it can be sometimes, but I think it's above, that category. And I think Season 6 especially has taken it in a new direction. Or not a new direction, but in a bigger direction. And it's really matured and it's grown as a show, I think. I did like the first season. The second season I liked, Carla and everything. The fourth season especially, with Kobe Bell's introduction as Jesse, I thought was pretty strong. The ending the finale to season 5 was great. With Fiona turning herself in, I thought that was all really well done. But season 6, and from what I hear, season 7, which I will be starting at some point soon, just really stepped up in terms of story and pacing. I just thought it got better and better as it went along. Now I've read some posts saying that some fans think this is when Burn Notice jumped the shark or went a little bit too far. I don't think so. They tried to do bigger things, and I think they mostly succeeded with this. They start off the season with Fiona in jail, which I think was probably the best time for Gabrielle Anwar's character. I thought there's a cool action sequence up there in the hallway there, and her rolling up the newspapers and everything. Meanwhile, you have Michael doing some work for John McGinley's character, Tom Card, who we'll talk more about in a few minutes. And I will be doing a review on the last season, season 7, when I finish it. But just to give some brief thoughts of the show in general before I get too much deeper into the story of season 6. Like I said, overall it's been good. It's had some higher points, but season 6 has kicked it up a notch. And in general, though, there were always some things I really liked about Burn Notice. Jeffrey Donovan, his performance as Michael Weston, I thought was always really likable, and there were definitely times when he got invested in him. And Michael Weston himself is just he's like a much more compelling and interesting version of MacGyver. He's resourceful as hell. He's a great fighter. He's intelligent, obviously. The spy is intelligent. Yeah, that's a great that's a great statement, Jacob. Just the layers they give to him, and how with the Larry character, and even in season 6 they start delving deeper into his psyche, and how there's a darkness in him, really, and that's making him an even more above average character and lead for me. It could be something I've explored right in the final season. Which they've teased throughout the show that he has a darker side to him, but if they explore that more in the final season, I think it could really kick the show up to another level. And it started to here, especially during his final parts with Patton Oswalt's, Kelvin Schmidt, who, again, we'll talk more about in a few minutes. But we also see the last of Jerry Burns' Anson Fullerton in this season as well, who I still think is probably the best villain on the show. We'll see what they bring in season 7. I also really like Tom Card, but I think Anson is still probably the best villain. He just has that really creepy face. He's on, he's on Justified as well, and he's been on tons of other shows. Even had a smaller role in Breaking Bad for a little bit. But I thought how that played out was, good for the most part, especially that Shockwave episode where we see the death of Michael's brother Nate. Who is kind of a bit of he's not quite as on the ball as Michael. But they definitely both had issues, growing up, which I'm hoping maybe explored more, as far as their past and childhood. But it's implied that they had a terrible relationship with their father and everything. But We've seen what Michael's become, but Nate, on the other hand, he's become more of a loose cannon with life in general. He's a gambler, he's in debt, but he does have a kid, and he seems to grow up a little bit. And there's this part of him that just always wants to please his brother that he looks up to. So he tries to get on this case to take down Anson, and he actually holds Anson at gunpoint, but then they're both sniped. They're both shot and killed. Which was definitely one of the best moments of the show for me. Just the music, the editing to it, Michael coming home to tell Madeline, their mother. I thought that was all very well done, and of course we know how much Michael will carry this with himself. So that was definitely one of the pinnacles of the season, I think, as well as when we find out how much Tom Card was really behind that. He wasn't specifically ordering Tyler Gray to have Nate killed. Tyler Gray, of course, being the hired sniper, who Tom Carter's pulling the strings of as well. He didn't specifically order Nate to die, but he was probably aware that he could have been collateral damage. In that confrontation Michael has with Tom Card later in the season, it's one of the other highlights for me. Then Olivia Riley, the agent that's actually trying to chase after him because of everything that's surrounding him now after he kills Tom Card, which I think was justified in a way. I know Sam kind of questions him about gunning him down there, but even though Tom Card holstered it, he was probably almost definitely gonna betray Michael again at some point and try to kill him anyway. So even though it wasn't technically in self-defense, I think Michael was fully justified in killing Card there, shooting him in the head at the very least. But the Olivia Riley character I thought was good as well. I don't have the actress's name now off the top of my head, but she also had a small sort of supporting role in the originals in season 2, so it was good to see her here. I started off the show again around that point when Olivia Riley comes in, after the Tom Card stuff. Where I started again was around, like a few episodes before the Tom Card thing happened, excuse me. But I thought just Olivia Riley's whole chase with them and just like the standoffs they would have, it was really engaging, fairly intense. And it was more well done sequences than I expected from this show. I definitely felt tense and worried. And then there's the whole incident of Sam getting shot towards the end of the season. And I didn't think they were going to kill off Bruce Campbell's character just because of what a cornerstone he is as far as like the energy of the show and everything too. But I thought it had a great scene with him and Michael in the car, and Michael promising him that he's going to make everything right, because after the Tom Card thing they're having to find a way to flee the country. Which is where we see Patton Oswalt's character, come in, Calvin Schmidt, who I mentioned earlier. Some people might have been annoyed by his character from what I read, but Patton Oswalt, I think he's he seems to be a pretty cool guy, and I especially loved him on King of Queens as Spence Olchin. So it was easy to buy him as like a hacker type. It would have been different if we had to believe he was like another agent or something. But the fact that he was a hacker made sense, and he was hilarious. There's an exchange he has with Sam, and Sam basically just flat out says they didn't tell him more because he knew he would be whiny, and he's like, whiny? And again, some people might be irritated by it, but if you watch more Patton Oswalt's work and you like him, I think you'll like him in this show. And he's around for a few episodes, which was good to see. But what I didn't expect was for him and Michael to have such a serious exchange. When they're held up in this factory in a certain episode by basically a guy who's connected with passport work that he ends up screwing over, they have a right to be mad at him and angry. And especially basically when Michael finds out that it also brought attention on them, with what they're trying to do with getting out of the country. I think Michael is justified almost in killing him right then and there. But of course Michael doesn't. But what he does is he drags him out to the guy, and it seems like he's actually going along with the deal to give him over after how he handled that, which again would have been justified in a way, but that still stood out as one of the darker moments, or one of the more morally gray moments for the Michael Weston character that I didn't expect. So I actually think that was fairly interesting. Of course, he does end up shooting one of the Transformers and causing a diversion to be able to get Schmidt out of there. But Schmidt even calls him out, has a talk with him earlier when they're sharing a drink, saying he didn't really believe that Michael knew there was going to be a way to save him there at all, So I thought that was interesting. Again, I hope that plays into like the psychological character study that we hopefully get in season 7. Season 7 being only 13 episodes, I hope it's going to be a really well paced and maybe even more engaging season, but we'll see. So yeah, I really, really liked it all, and it appeared like Michael and Sam's bond was stronger than ever after Sam was shot. There were like a couple little things about the end of the season I didn't like, or maybe I shouldn't say didn't like, but was a little bit confused by. But before we talk about that, I should also mention what we found out with Jesse towards the end, when he is captured by Riley, and Riley brings up how his mother was murdered when he was 9 years old. I like getting more of that context on Jesse. If we had heard about it before, it certainly wasn't in, too great a detail. Finding out that his mother was murdered and, saying that she gave him the identity of the guy who did it, which he was never able to, uncover because, it just kept getting denied when he tried to look into it. But he still doesn't turn on Michael on the team. He still doesn't give him over, which I thought was really, really, honorable of him. And it just shows how strong a bond he actually feels with the group. So I like that as well. But he did try to look through the file where he finds out Riley, is just bullshitting him anyway to try and get him to reveal the location that they are at. I hope that comes back up in the next season, in the final season. Maybe that'll be like another, I guess I could say subplot for the 7th season, I guess. Because they talked about it, so, you think it would come up, but I don't know. But now, as far as the little things I didn't like, I like them finding dirt on Riley, saying that she was willing to sink as low as working with the cartel to try and go after him when she couldn't kill him or capture him herself. And it's implied that she was probably a dirty cop if she was already willing to do that. And we have Bly, coming back into the picture, which I thought was pretty good, but he was killed. He's kind of killed just as he was about to give Michael the evidence for it, which I thought was a little bit, cliche, I guess. So the evidence is destroyed, but still, again, the scene was well done. And then the other two little things that bugged me when Michael confronts Riley on the boat, which is again an awesome moment. Solid acting on Jeffrey Donovan's part. There's like a CGI background they have when they're talking back and forth inside the boat. It looks off. It's like very clearly a green screen, but then when they show the boat out like in an outside shot, it looks fine. But when they're inside the ship, the outside looks just green screen. I don't know what it was. It reminds me of like the on The Walking Dead with Rick, staying on top of the garbage, dumpster pile, and you see that the whole junkyard, and it just looks off. It was kind of like that, but it's not a big deal. It's really just a minor thing. And then with Fiona being so upset with Michael at the end, we see that they're held in, for 3 weeks, I think, after the evidence is brought against Riley. After they find another way, they set her up on the boat and everything, get her to confess in a way. We see that Michael is ordering people around again, which I thought was actually a happy moment for the character to, see him actually, giving orders and, maybe in some kind of higher position. I almost thought he had Tom Card's job for a second. But Fiona's very upset with them, I guess, because, the promise they made to each other to just drop it all and go away to Panama together after all this was over. So I get that she was upset about that, and she, of course, just doesn't want to have to worry about Michael like this anymore. And she's probably upset that Michael chooses like this drive and sort of determination he has to keep doing this kind of work. I think that's what it is. But the fact that she just like broke down and like pushed him away, I thought that was a bit much. It was like there was this big betrayal or something. I didn't really think it was. Michael does say there's this new deal, but again, I don't see why Fiona would just split away from him like that. But yeah, still overall a really good season. I think really, really put Burn Notice on another level and sets up for what's hopefully a very good send-off for the show that goes above and beyond again. And if I had to rate season 6 of Burn Notice, I'm debating between a B+ and an A-. Either way, very, very good. I almost just want to give it an A-. It's just that good for the kind of show it is, and it really improved itself, went above and beyond, and I'm looking forward to watching season 7. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.